All right, forget everything you thought you knew about AI assistants. Seriously, this is not just another update. With Gemini 3 Pro, Google is kicking off what they're calling a new agentic era. And believe me, the implications, they're absolutely massive. This whole shift really just boils down to one single powerful question. We've all gotten pretty used to AI that can chat with us, right? It can write stuff, help us brainstorm, but what if it could actually do the work for you? I'm talking about executing complex, multi-step tasks completely on its own.
So we're making this huge jump from what you could call the chatbot era, where the AI is basically just sitting there waiting for you to type in the next command, to the agentic era, where the AI becomes this active, autonomous partner. It can actually go out and accomplish goals by itself, which leads to the big question, right? How in the world did we make this leap?
Well, it all starts with a fundamentally new way for the AI to think. It's a method that goes way beyond the kind of simple, one-track mind thinking of older models.
Okay, so this right here is really the heart of the breakthrough. See, older models use something called chain of thought. You can think of it like, well, a stream of consciousness. One idea just leads to the next. But there's a huge flaw. If that very first thought is wrong, the entire chain of logic after it is completely broken. Gemini 3 Pro, on the other hand, introduces DeepThink, and this is more like having a whole team of experts brainstorming at once. It explores a bunch of different ideas or paths at the same time, gets rid of the bad ones, and then combines the best ones. So how does this DeepThink actually work? Well, it's basically a four-step process. First, it spawns. It generates a whole bunch of different thought trajectories. Then it deliberates, which means it looks at all of them at the same time. The real magic, though, is in the next step. Prune. This is where it just cuts off any path that's illogical or leading to a dead end. And finally, it synthesizes all the best remaining ideas into one single solid answer. And the results of this new way of thinking? Well, they're kind of staggering. Take the GPQA Diamond benchmark. Now, this thing is just a brutal test. We're talking PhD-level science questions here. Gemini 3 Pro scored an incredible 91.9%. This isn't just a small step up. It's a massive leap into what you could call genuine expert-level reasoning. But look, amazing reasoning doesn't mean much if you have a bad memory, right? And that's where this next piece comes in, thought signatures. Just think of it like a perfect encrypted memory bookmark for the AI. So if it has to pause a really long task, it can create one of these signatures. When it comes back, hours, days, whatever, it picks up its train of thought with perfect clarity. Not a single detail is lost. This is absolutely the key to handling those long, complex jobs. Okay, so we have this powerful new reasoning and this perfect memory. The big question is, how does Gemini 3 Pro actually perform out in the real world? Let's take a look at how it goes from just being a thinker to being a doer. So the new test for this kind of AI autonomy, it's not some boring multiple choice quiz. No. It's a full-blown business simulation called Vending-Bench 2. And the challenge is simple to explain, but incredibly hard to do. Can the AI run a vending machine business for a whole year? We're talking everything: managing inventory, setting prices, even negotiating with suppliers. And the results? Gemini 3 Pro didn't just scrape by, it absolutely thrived. It ended the simulated year with an average net worth of over $5,000. Now, look, this isn't really about the money. It's proof of something much more important: long-term strategic coherence. That's the ability to make a plan and actually stick to it, decision after decision over thousands of little actions. And when you put that number in context, it gets even more impressive. I mean, Gemini 3 Pro's performance here just completely dwarfs its main competitors, GPT 5.1 and Claude Sonnet 4.5. This isn't just a chart. It's concrete proof that we're dealing with a totally new level of autonomous capability. Okay, so maybe the most immediate, and I mean most disruptive impact of all this is happening right now, in the world of software development. There's a totally new way of doing things they're calling vibe coding. And the real-world impact is already hitting. Get this, one early user reported, and I'm quoting here, "I generated a full-stack app in under 30 minutes with zero manual coding." I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. The idea of going from a concept to a fully working app in minutes, that's not science fiction anymore. It is happening right now. And the way it works is, it all starts with just human intent. You don't have to write out some super detailed technical document anymore. You can literally just sketch an idea on a napkin, take a picture of it, and say, build me a flight tracker that looks like this. And just from that simple visual prompt, the AI gets to work. It generates the entire stack. We're talking the front-end code, the back-end, the database schema, the API integrations. It even writes the tests to make sure it all works. This is a massive shift from just writing code to directing intent.
Now, to handle this new workflow on a professional scale, Google has released a new tool called Antigravity. And this isn't just some fancy code editor. You should think of it more like a mission control center, where one single developer can manage and orchestrate a whole team of AI agents, all working on different parts of a project at the same time. But of course, this immediately raises a huge, and maybe a little scary, question. If anyone can suddenly create software this easily, what does that mean for the millions of people whose job it is to be a software developer today?
And yeah, there is a pretty heated debate about this already. On one side, you have the democratization argument. The idea here is that this empowers everybody, accountants, artists, you name it, to build their own tools, which could unleash a huge wave of productivity. But then on the other side, you have the quality argument, which warns that we risk flooding the world with insecure, unmaintainable code that's built by so-called pseudo-developers who don't actually know how to fix what the AI creates.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. Because beyond just coding, these new agentic abilities are already creating what people are starting to call the agentic economy, and it is fundamentally reshaping how entire industries work. And look, this is not just some theory for the future. Major companies are putting these systems to work today. Salesforce is using AI agents for sales and support. Box is using them to process mountains of unstructured data, like contracts. And in really critical fields like healthcare, legal, and finance, these agents are starting to automate super complex tasks that used to require whole teams of human experts. So, what does this new level of intelligence cost? Well, Google's pricing is pretty aggressive. They're basing it on token usage, and you can just think of a token as a small piece of a word. It's basically how much text the AI has to process. What this means is that businesses can essentially buy thinking on demand and scale how much they spend based on how hard the task is. And you have to remember, this is really just the beginning. The CEO of Google DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, has said that the goal here isn't just to have agents that can finish a task in a few minutes. The real prize is building systems that can plan, strategize, and execute on huge projects over days or even weeks. Which brings us to the final, and maybe the most critical question of all. For the first time, we've built a tool that doesn't just crunch data, it can genuinely reason. The technology is here. So the real challenge for all of us now is to figure out, what are the most important problems we should ask it to solve?